to the second live streaming, which again is half a lesson test and half games. So last time we left this amazing World Championship game from 1480 at about move 8 or 9. And you had points to decide whether you could have been the world champion at that time. I think you could have scored up to 68 points, but we only got through half the game. So we're going to go through, hopefully, the rest of the game this time. And just to fill you in about the background to the game, the players of the game were extremely high-ranking people. They were both poets. One, I think, the white player, name of Castelvi, that's his surname, he was major domo to King Ferdinand of Aragon. So he's next to the king. I don't know what a major domo is. Maybe you might know what that is, but it sounds pretty big. So he was playing the white pieces, seemed the better player, and they seemed to say, oh, he was an aristocrat. I think the other guy, his name was Vignoles, they say he was Ferdinand's protege. And later they had a lot of involvement in printing. So the fact that they could read, they were literary, only a small percentage of society could do that. And also they were involved in the new art of printing, because printing had only recently been invented. And what's more, it seems that one of the commentators, or the commentator was Fenora, playing the part of Mercury. He was involved with Lucina, sometime later printing the first ever book on chess in Spain. So these were highly educated people. So it's been impressive to see if you can match them on the chessboard. Are you their equal? Are you their inferior? Are you, in fact, superior to them? All this information I have from this book, this heavy book, The Classical Era of Modern Chess, which is obtainable somewhere by Peter Monte. And of course, the master work was The History of Chess by Murray. But people have been beavering away, producing more books. And this is only from a very small period of chess, whereas Murray covered all the whole of chess history. Anyway, enough of the history. Let's look at the game to find out how strong you are. If you didn't take part in the first part, then you can find the first lesson, I think, on Twitch or YouTube. But let's just take ourselves through the game to get us up to the important part where we left off last week. So I want you to have your chessboards ready, or maybe you don't need them because you can use the screen. So let's move the white pawn to e4. See, I'm getting good at this now. And black plays d5. And white captures the pawn. And then black comes back with the queen. I'm not going to make any comments at this part of the game because it might influence you in answering the questions when you go through the first part. So knight to c3, attacking the queen, and the queen ran back home to d8. Now white continues with the bishop to c4, developing move. Black is going knight to f6, the same, and white goes knight f3. And if any of you watched it last week, black played the contentious move, bishop g4, after which the game continues with white attacking the bishop and the bishop exchanging itself for the knight and the queen taking the bishop. At this point, let's see, black now played the move pawn to e6. So here we are in this position on, it looks like, yeah, it looks like it's move 7. So it's white's 8th move. So I'm going to ask the question. Looks like it's the 10th question in the series. And I'm going to ask you to choose a move for white. So what move would you play for white here? So if you want to think about it, you can, well, actually you could pause, but this is live. So if it wasn't live, you could pause. Right, because we're just going to go on. So you've got to make a decision. What's your choice for white? Okay, time's up. If you sort of played some kind of developing move like castling, we'll give you 2 points for that. Or if you played d3, maybe to get your bishop out, also we'll give you 2 points. But we'll give you 6 points if you did the best move, which is queen takes b7. As I explained to people last week, capturing is a very important part of chess, in many ways underestimated by beginners because they think it's important to checkmate. But by eliminating the enemy pieces, of course, you make it easier to win. So if you didn't see queen takes b7, then I suggest you get probably the best beginner's book ever written. I hope I have it here. Yes, in my rucksack. Yes, Beginner to Winner in 2 months. This is a shameless plug for this book. I don't like to do it, but it is the best book, and I should not deny you the opportunity to benefit from using this book. Of course, it's the only book which really explains what capturing is all about. So Beginner to Winner, you can get it on the Mike Basman Chess Shop, but don't buy it yet because we have a lesson. As soon as the lesson's over, yeah, you can go and buy it, and we will keep copies for you. Yeah, right. So queen takes b7. That shows you understand the foundations of chess, which are capturing. And that would have got you 6 points. And of course, white swoops in with the queen and takes the pawn, and black's rook is now in deadly danger. So it's not just that he's lost a pawn. His king is feeling insecure as well, and also his rook. That's a funny thing about rooks. If you survey the position, the rooks are always undefended, certainly at the beginning of the game, and so they're the ones that are for the chop. And we will investigate that later. So the next question, question 11, you've got a problem here. How are you going to save your rook? What move will you play? Well, did you find a way out? You have to play a quite advanced level of chess to be able to solve the problem, because you can't use MCSB. MCSB, of course, is described in this book, which is the ordinary ways of escaping an attack are to move the attacked piece, capture the attacking piece, support the attacked piece, or block the attack. None of these normal ways of defending are available for black, but you have to play a quite advanced way of defense. Of course, you may not think that's advanced because you yourself are a strong player. You don't realize how strong you are. If you got the right answer, which was knight bd7, congratulations, you're clearly an advanced player, even if you may think you're just a beginner or a weak player. No, this is a very advanced thinking because you move the knight out of the way of the queen, so the queen can now defend the rook at a8. This is called the UFO, and again, UFOs are only described in the book, How to Play Like an Alien, and unfortunately I cannot plug it because I didn't bring it with me, but I hope next week I can show you the beautiful cover which was designed by Zoe Stead, our resident artist for the Chess Challenge. She did all the badges for 21 years. So well done. If you played knight bd7, give yourself a pat on the back. You are an advanced player and will give you 6 points. If you kind of struggled and you played knight c6, well, or knight a6, well, at least you saved your rook. But of course, you will lose the knight if he goes to c6. So let's give you 2 points for trying hard, knight c6. 2 points for that. If you thought, well, maybe I can try a counterattack, maybe I can put my queen on d4, let's give you 3 points for imagination. It's okay as far as it goes. Queen takes d4, white takes your rook, you take his bishop, but if you look ahead a little bit further, he's taking your knight on b8 check, so it's even more of a disaster than the other moves. Okay, so let's move on with the game. Did Venus find the defense? In fact, Venus, well actually in this case Vignoles, did play knight bd7. So this black therefore is a player of some experience, though I already said black is probably in this stage a bit of a beginner. Now, so the knight, black has saved his rook, but white keeps charging in to the attack. Let's see white's next move, which is the knight to b5. Now, I would like you to look at this position and answer the next question. I think it's question 12. And the question I want to ask you is, what is white threatening? What is white threatening? Think carefully. Well, it's a question of what you see and what you said. If you said white's threatening to take a pawn on c7 with knight takes c7, because you've seen what's called the focused attack, the pawn's attacked twice on c7, then I think you should get 4 points for that. And the same if you saw that white was threatening the pawn on a7. But if you saw further that knight takes c7 is also a fork against the king and the rook, then you should get for knight takes c7 check, and declaring this was a fork, you should score 8 points. So it's important, what did you see when you looked at this position? Had you seen as far as the fork, or had you maybe seen that it was attacking the pawns twice, which were only defended once? Okay, so you know what you were thinking about, so you will allocate yourself the points. But now we come to the next question in this thrilling World Championship match. You are actually playing it. You are actually trying to become the champion of 1480. So now this time you're black. So what defensive move would you choose? We know now what the threat is. How would you defend against that? Have a careful think. Well, you might have thought, my pawn's in danger, so I'll move it. Say I'll play my pawn to c5, but that's missing the point. You've saved the pawn, but you haven't saved the rook. So we just give you 2 points for c5, because the knight will still come into c7, forking your king and rook, and then he's going to take your rook. So it's not the best defense. No, you've got to support that pawn. And there's only 2 ways to do it, really. Well, there's 3. Let's look at the worst one, which is knight d5. So the knight from f6 goes to d5, defending c7. But, you know, the tacticians among you will quite clearly see that this is inadequate, because white will use a tactical idea called removing defender. If you want to learn tactics, then again, the best book is the one available from my website, which is Two Birds with One Stone, that masterpiece of Bob Wade, Stanley Morrison and Ray Bott, which I rescued from a Bolivian, and we can use it. So white can play bishop takes d5, taking the knight, removing the defender on c7, and then he swoops in with knight c7 check. So I think knight d5 is a good try, but not the best. Just 4 points for that. Rook c8 is the obvious move, isn't it? Moving the rook across to defend the pawn. And that is perfectly adequate. I think we'll give you 6 points for finding the move. But I think 8 points if you found the best move, which was bishop d6. Because not only does that firmly defend the pawn at c7, it also allows the king more safety. From our point of view, it's an option that we want to castle. Yes, so in some ways we've got stereoscopic vision. We're playing this game in 2020, but it took place in 1480. Whatever, bishop d6 is still the best move. 8 points for that move. Well done. Furthermore, you shouldn't be worried if they take the bishop check, because you can take back with the pawn, and then all your pawns are kind of together in a clump, and the pawns, like to be together. Remember, they're like little girls in the playground. You see them walking around holding hands, 2 by 2. Pawns are like that. They feel best and safest when they're linked together. So at the moment, black's got a shattered queen side with his pawns on c7 and a7. So this would do something to improve that situation. Now, let's see. Did you choose bishop d6? If so, you're better than black, because the black move was... Oops, I've gone to b8. I need to try and change this. It didn't go to b8. Oh, can I go backwards? Right, okay. If I go backwards... wait a minute. I don't want to go too back. Okay, let's put the knight... Oh, sheesh. Knight to b5. I can do it. You don't need... Oh, it's still going to b8. Okay, try again. Okay, now I can do it. Definitely, third time I will achieve... Why is it being... Well, it's not a good move, rook b8. Who does he think he is, this computer? He should not be playing... Wait a minute, maybe he just likes green square. Aha, done it. Maybe if I overshoot and go to d8, then I can come back. Yes, rook c8. Good. Well, it was okay. Now white now plays knight takes a7. This is fairly brutal play. And question 14. Choose your move for black. What would you play here? So the knight's taken on a7. What will you play for black? Well, I think it's fairly obvious that the best move is rook b8, getting the rook out of trouble. The rook is, and then attacking the queen. We'll give you 6 points for that. If you played rook a8, I think that's 4 points. It's not as good as rook b8, but to our surprise, black did not actually defend the rook, and that's quite remarkable. Instead, black plays knight b6. Maybe black panics. I don't know. But knight b6 we would definitely call a beginner's mistake, because it's well known the rook is worth more than a knight. So knight b6 is a somewhat incomprehensible move for black. So if you chose that, well, I'm afraid we'll just, let's give you 2 points, because at least you played a legal move. Yeah. You may have played other moves, but I think any other move you shouldn't get more than 2 points. Yeah, I think it's fairly obvious rook b8 was the best. But black played a knight to b6, so now black's getting into worse trouble. Knight b6, and white takes the rook off, and now black takes the takes the knight. Good. Yep, and white is got a big advantage here. This is somewhat turning into a rout. Now the white's next move is to play the pawn up to d4. And so we ask another question. It looks like the pawn can be captured by the queen on d4. So that's my question. Would you? That is, would you capture the pawn on d4? It looks quite juicy. It looks unprotected. So is it a good idea to take that pawn? So we'd need reasons for your decision. So the answer is no, but why is it bad? Queen takes d4 looks so strong. The queen takes the pawn. She's now attacking the bishop at c4. But did you notice that white can play queen takes c8 with check? So it's not an exchange. The king is in check. Black cannot counterattack by taking the bishop at c4. So being able to spot these checks, these little details in the position, helps to make you into a powerful player. So if your answer was no, for the reason that you saw that queen takes c8 will win white a piece, because then he can, after the check, he can save his bishop, we'll give you 6 points for the answer no. Queen takes d4 would be a mistake. But black actually here played quite a strong move. He moves his knight up to d6. And then he's forking the queen and the bishop, but white finds a way out of that, just checks with the bishop, and knight took the bishop, and the queen takes check, and black blocks with his knight. Right, now in this position, I want you now to decide your move for white. So this is question 16. What would you play for white here? Well, white's got several good moves here. White is, we would regard this as a completely winning position for white. But the moves which are good would be, say, if you chose bishop e3, bishop f4, bishop g5, castling, all good developing moves. We'll give you 6 points for all these moves. I think quite good also is a4. Why not just run that pawn down the board and try and queen it? Give you 6 points. White didn't choose this move. As I say, development, white's ahead on points. He should consolidate and get his pieces out. But white actually played d5. I think we'll give you 6 points for that, trying to break up the black position. Yeah, so white's actual move was pawn up to d5, and now black took the pawn, and white plays his bishop to e3, and black moves his bishop to d6. And now question 17, if I'm not mistaken. Choose again a move for white. Well, I think a very natural move for white would be to castle his king into safety and get his rooks into action. Is this not what most people would do? So I think castling kingside will give you 6 points. I think castling queenside could be even better. We'll give you 8 points for that, because that immediately puts the rook on the d line. I think if you play queen takes d5, I think we should also give you 5 points, because that pawn is not possibly going to run away. So all these are good moves. White surprised us a bit. He played his rook to d1, and to me, clearly, castling was the better option, because once you castle, you connect your rooks, and both the rooks can be utilized. Otherwise, they're often stuck in the corners. No good in the corners, no good to God or man, unless you play an opening like the Creepy Crawly. So playing in the center, rook d1 is a good move. We'd expect castling us. Give 4 points if you chose rook d1, which was the move chosen by Mars Castelvi. Francesco Castelvi, I think his name is. And now let's have the next question. What would you do for black? What was your choice for black here? If it's black's move, what would you do? Well, you can't really save the pawn at d5, but certainly you could save the king. So I really think one should castle here. That would be the natural move, breaking the pin, getting the king into safety, getting the rook into action. So castling would look to be the expected move. So 6 points for that. Maybe give yourself 3 points for any other move, I presume, as long as it didn't lose lots of material. So now the next move, black actually plays his queen to f6, does not castle, and white plays rook takes on d5, and now it's too late for black to castle, really, because then he'd lose his knight at d7. Instead, black goes into the counter-attacking mode. He plays queen to g6. What would you choose for white here? So question 19, your choice for white. Quite a lot of good moves here. For example, rook g5, give you 6. I think if you castled on the king's side, that will give you 8, because this is the obvious move. You get your rook into action, and you defend the pawn at g2, because you might have noticed black's got a few threats, threatening the pawn at g2 and the pawn at c2. Both these are unprotected pieces. And as I have said last week, the strong player, the mark of the strong player, is always scanning the board, looking for undefended pieces, either for himself or for his opponent. That's the first stage in chess success. So castling, I think, was the best, but white does something else. White plays the bishop to f4. I think I would give white 3 points for that move. It's an ingenious move, but black here could certainly, throw a spanner in the works by playing queen takes g2 or queen e4 check, and kind of drive white back in disarray, because white seems to have left the king in the center. In fact, both kings have been left in the center. However, black falls for this little combination, hook, line, and sinker. So we got to give white credit for actually creating a combination, a fairly primitive combination nonetheless. And black, Venus, alas, falls for it. She could have actually caused quite a bit of disruption by the move pawn c6 herself, and the strong players among you would understand what I'm talking about when I say black could have played pawn c6 here. But I'll leave that for you to work out. Alas, Venus falls for it and plays bishop takes f4 in this position, winning a bishop. But soon her joy turns to tears. So for question 21, what would you play for white here? You have a strong move in this position. Yes, I hope you played queen takes d7 check. Let's be generous. We'll give you 8 points for this devastating attack. It's a focused attack on the knight on d7. Black has allowed white to open the line of the knight by capturing the bishop. So queen takes d7 check was played. And even in those days, you could not castle out of check. Maybe white could have tried the king's leap to f6, but I'm not sure exactly what the rules were in those days. But anyway, check. So black moves the king to f8. Right, now for the last question, question 22. What would you play here? So if you chose any move, we'll give you 2 points. But if you chose the winning move, queen d8 check, then we'll give you 6 points. Yeah, so that finishes the game. Queen d8 checkmate wins the game. There were still some mysteries for us in how the game happened, but I think we can see White was a fairly accomplished player. I might rate White at about grade possibly 120, though Black no higher than grade 60 or 80. And maybe in Elay terms, you can translate that. There is a formula to work out. I think maybe Black was grade 1,000 or 1,200, and White might have been, say, 1,500. We'll do the maths later. So anyway, thanks for watching this game. You can find the first part, as I said, on YouTube or Twitter, and then we can add up our points, and later we'll check out next week. We'll see what is your actually ranking in today's terms and in the terms of 1480. Would you have won the World Championship in 1480? If so, you could definitely put that on your visiting card. Right, now we move on to the next stage, which is the chess games. Have we got an opponent?
Yeah.
Ah, I'm Black now. Okay. Someone's asked me to play the Creepy Crawly. Okay. I don't know which order to play the moves in. Should I play a6 first, and then h6? Or should I play h6 and then a6? Somebody could tell me which ones it should be. Now, which way round? I think as he's played c4, I think g5 looks quite a nasty shot. Oh, Peter 2742, but that's not his grade yet. Okay, now it's Fianchetto. Okay, now we'll play our standard attack on the center, which is a bit dodgy here, I've just noticed. Right, okay, let's keep up the pressure. Right, what to do now? A3. Not tricky, but I'm still gonna do it. Okay, let's try. Yes, g4. Now he has some problems in the center, in the fact that his pawn at d4 has a possible weakness. He's doing a kind of good idea. Good idea. Let's take that. I could have taken with the bishop, but I didn't. Maybe I should have. But this should get me more center pawns. Now he's got his pawn back. Aha. Now, can I do this? Maybe we can. Oops. Can we develop? Yes, we can develop something. Looks like my rook is in danger, just as we saw in that World Championship match. But maybe I can extricate myself. Why isn't this mouse working? It's obscuring my rook. Won't let me move the rook. Yeah, no. I think I can do it. Oh, I've lost my rook. He can take the rook. Oh, he can checkmate me with Queen G8. No, wait a minute. I've been lucky. I am a lucky player. I just realized. I don't know where he puts his queen. Well, that's life. You win some, you lose some. To commiserate with our opponent. Life can be so cruel. You play a killer move with your queen. Aha. Brilliant sacrifice. to distract. No, wait, I'm going to take that piece. I'm not going to move my knight to g8. Got it. Bishop d3. He's piling on the pressure. Yes, he's threatening me. Now I better get the knight out of trouble. Risky, but still. Castle. Let's just... I can weaken his pawns. Could be useful in the endgame if he's got double pawns. Well, he's got isolated and double pawns. So let's now... We need to get some guys into action. Yeah? We're behind in development. F4. Excellent move. Now where's the knight gonna go? Could go into no man's land. Don't really want to go down here, but I will. Check. So the knight's out on a limb. On the other hand, I might get a checkmate someday. Let's play the bishop out to G. Try again. Lose on time trying to move these pieces. Yeah, bishop G4. How long have I taken? I can't see. Say the time. Oh yeah, 6:53. Oh, he's played. No, he hasn't played at any time. I spent most of my time moving my pieces. Okay, let's go into the attack with maybe queen to b6. Whoops. Still haven't got my king into safety. E4. Excellent. Oh dear. Right, okay, should we put the queen down on... Maybe I'll get my queen trapped, but let's take a chance. Queen down to b6. Now, perhaps I can lose my queen to make this exciting. Going deep into enemy territory. Ah, wait a minute. He could have problems. He could have problems. Yes, he does have problems. For once, he's actually thinking about his move. Yeah, good idea. I think we will... Should we check? Check. Then he moves his king to h1. Knight f2 check looks really nasty for him. I don't need to grab his measly pawn at c3. Can I not just check him? Yeah. Okay. No, that's not made. Yeah. Okay, let's do something like knight to f2 check. Yeah. Oh, I won. He's decided he's had enough. Right, it looks like I'm back to grade 2000. So we'll play one more game and see how. Okay, so he was unlucky in that game, as you can see, because, you know, it's quite complete fluke that when he moved his queen into g7, the winning move, it actually lost his queen. So maybe the next player will have his share of luck. Okay, what are we, white?
You're white.
Okay. In response to popular demand for one viewer, and we have had at least one viewer, I am playing this Creepy Crawly, and this time I'm going to play the other variation, where you play h3 first. And c5, and now I got to play a3. This is kind of a pincer movement. You surround the opponent, yeah? You surround them, let them come forward, and then crush them, yes? From the edge, yes? Okay, so you start really way out on the sides, and then you move gradually towards the center. because as we know, the existing way of playing chess is totally incorrect. Ignore Wool Naught. Wool Naught says you occupy the center, but not prematurely. So anyway, I better actually play this game because I could lose on time just explaining the first two moves. So in Wool Naught, you can see it thoroughly discussed in that book, which I cannot show you, but it's the Creepy Crawly opening, available at extremely reasonable sums from the Mike Basman chess course. Okay, black is now trying to source up his center, and we again will try to, and we'll play this formula, which you probably have seen, this method of trying to focus on certain parts of the board, certain parts of the center, black having, or white having established his position in the center, we try and stake out our counterattack. So we're focusing on this d5 square. If he hasn't, captured the pawn, if he had captured the pawn, I might have enjoyed myself by tripling his pawns. And after I triple the pawns, I certainly don't want to capture them, but I probably would have to. So he played a good move. I'm going to play d3. This is a bit similar to our last game from the previous week, but it's going to be a more complex game. This one, what should we do? Right, too many possibilities. I think we're going to play the bishop to f4, setting a trap. You might want to play e5. Interesting move there, bishop g5. Okay, we're happy. I hope you're happy. Right, we'll swap because at least we developed stuff. Let's say take knight, and now we develop our knight. Again, this is dubious, but I think we should retract now. He's got to move his queen. I think we worked that out. Queen d8. That's probably the best move. Now we must develop again. We don't have to, but we're going to do it anyway. Now at the moment, his bishop is not a strong piece, but at least he's got castle. Now should we put that knight in? Yeah, let's put the knight into the center, except he may play f5. Are we worried about that? Yes, we are. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're going to still stick him up there. Knight to e5. Queen b6. That was a good move. Yep. I hadn't thought of that. Play knight d6 check. That might upset him a bit. Be able to castle. Let's bang in on d6. At least it's a check. Okay, should we crawl all over him? We could end in tears, but we're gonna. Now, if we play that, he might play f6. I don't think I like that. If I play knight e5 here, it could work. I think I'll play queen to d2, and that Michi I lots in, by the way, is defending my pawn at b2. f6, fine defensive move. I had some plans. And maybe we can do a bit of advancing here. Pawn to g5. Maybe we can get that. king opened, attack the king in some way. Queen c7. Now, if I play queen f4, I don't quite like that, but maybe I can play a kind of Zwischenzug, which is an in-between move. I just take the pawn on f6 because, you know, if he takes my knight, I can either take his pawn check. I think I probably wouldn't. I think I'll take his knight rather than the pawn. I could play queen g5, but that's maybe showing off. So let's play pawn takes knight check. He takes with the king. Now let's hit him again, shall we? Queen g5 check. Looking quite promising, this position. King back to f8. I think we should probably put a rook on an open file. That's what they say. Rooks are good on open files. Now I think we now have a threat again. And still his bishop at c8 hasn't actually spoken, has it? It would be called a bad bishop because it's blocked by its own pawns. On the other hand, my knight could have a good outpost on e5. Fine move. Queen c7. I can take the pawn check. I can't see any reason why not. I can play knight e5. Is that threatening anything? I can't see that, so I just keep eating stuff. So because he's got these doubled isolated pawns, that's his problem, that they fall like ripe plums. And still, as we say, the bishop has not spoken. King to g8. Maybe we can bang something in. I could take the d4 pawn, but maybe the knight on e5 would be in a fine outposted position, because that knight cannot be attacked by enemy pawns. And it's looking a bit grim for black. I actually haven't got both my rooks into action yet. Bishop b7, and I think can't see anything wrong with castling. Yep, I want to rubble the dukes or double the rooks on the g file and start to put pressure on his king. a5. Yep, and I think now it would be good. We can't play rook takes g. I think we must double the rooks. Yeah, at the moment, yeah, let's double the rook by playing rook g3. It's looking like a reasonably strong position for white. And black's defending well. He's going to get his rook into action. I think we'll have to have a threat here. And the rook's moving. Now maybe we just move the rook to g6. I think so. Rook to g6 looks good. It's done it. Yep. Now black is difficult. Yeah, at least black's got a threat now. He's threatening to play rook a5 to dislodge my queen. So I think we could come across here. Now if he plays rook a5, rook e8 would actually mate him. Meanwhile we have a strongish threat coming, but it's still not quite enough to finish him off. Let's see what he'll do. Rook to f8. Excellent move. Yeah. Now if we play rook e7, that's looking quite strong again. Can't see anything. He's got rook e7. He's still not yet on his knees, but his bishop's in danger. He's got to save that. Right. Now what? We can sacrifice a couple of times, but there's no mate there. We could play Queen E6. Only 3 minutes left to finish this off. Right. Maybe slowly does it. Yeah. Okay. Let's try. Nope, not the rook. The queen. Queen to d6. Yeah. Okay. Queen to d6. Kind of lets his bishop escape by c5. Queen to d6. We're sort of creeping into the position. Is it going to work there? Ah, yes, I think it could work now. Right, now maybe we try and win his bishop, among other things. Ah, wait a minute. Nope, I think we can win. Sheesh, get that. Okay, trying to win the bishop. Queen takes h3. Okay, that's a good sacrifice. I think we'll just take that off. He still hasn't quite got any counterattacks on my king. But okay, now I think we have a chance to win. Let's try queen to e6 check. Now he's threatening to play queen takes rook check, so it's lucky I checked him first. Ignore. Okay, can you see the winning move? If so, score 20 points. I think 96 does the trick. Right, my grading's gone up. Okay. Okay, so that was an interesting game and well played to black. And thank you for my other opponent. Excellent. So see you next week. And don't forget to check out the game to see if you're world champion. Thanks. Bye. And thanks to Ollie, who actually rescued us many times, but not today. We didn't make any mistakes.